rather than the draft.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier. Your lanes look really good, as long as they can execute. Like, that's always the caveat. But if you can execute off of a random hawk dive and hook and get a kill, if you can execute off some early net, although you might not even level that for Scourge McDuck if he's looking for a more passive game. But if you work these lanes well, with Ravens, it just feels like you need quite a fair bit of farm on your Gyrocopter and your Lesh, right? And that's a lot of map space both of these heroes eat up. Like a connection between Gyrocopter, Shaker, and NP, it's not enough without one of these other cores joining in. So it's all down to that early timing, all down to the lanes.
I must agree, like the drafts, the draft from Ravens, it does feel kind of greedy, right? Like if you fall behind in the laning stage, you kind of mentioned the Gyro Lesh, but you've got supports like Earthshaker who wants to farm a Blink. He's not necessarily a space creator after the laning stage, you know, he just wants to hit Blink timings. It can be pretty rough. Even Underlord's not necessarily an off lane that can roam and make space. We'll have to see how all this works out as we are going to start the game. And we're going to be hooked up, so they will be able to find a second here thanks to BGOT. In fact, it looks like we're going to have a 3-for-1 trade in terms of bounty runes. So the cart will be able to pick up a third one. So Argus is the only one that gets a bounty rune on the side of the Ravens. And should we start with the bottom lane while we're here, John? You've got Scourge McDuck, of course, setting up with BGOT as a pos 5 Pudge, I suppose, here in the safe lane with Thana and Kara against them on the Earthshaker and the Underlord. What do you think about this bottom lane? It's a bit of a weird one.
I think this is actually a little bit better than the Moran lane, because you're double melee into a Pudge. So once BGOT gets level 3, he can run around with Rot, he can always threaten with Meat Hook. It's a little bit easier to land a hook in this lane, because it's double melee. So it kind of sets itself up. Oh, you already have First Blood coming out now.
Yambura ends up finding Sadman already, so Shaggy not going to be feeling too good about himself there. Yambura with the First Blood on the Prophet. And I believe that was the setup of the homing missile from Argus that made it easy to secure that First Blood, but nevertheless, not the best start you could ask for the cut.
No, definitely not. You can't underestimate the damage coming out from Ravens up top. I mean, with Sprout damage, with Blightstone up, the NP can trade quite nicely here. And it is quite a fair bit of output. Like, you cannot actually underestimate that Sprout damage. It chips away quite a fair bit. Quite spammy if a spell as well. Very mana efficient, which is why you see a lot of that NP. I think this is where, this is why you kind of have to go for the Mirana. Like, it's double ranged up top, so the Pudge doesn't do as much in lane outside of just maybe hooking a range creep or hooking some large camps. The Mirana has a little bit more trade potential here, can buy some space out. So even though Sadman does die, at the very least Adia has some room to work the lane, but you really have to watch yourself. I
think BGOT's about to go for a hook here, John. He just ate a mango. I know he wants Thana. He could also try for Kara underneath the tier 1 tower. He's got an angle there. But does he go for it? Oh, he thought about it. He thought of it. He's gone for the hook, but he misses. He misses. He hit the creep. It's kind of the classic thing with Pudge. Like, the moment you hesitate for a split second, the moment, like, you're just going to miss. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, he doesn't really have the setup anyway. And I think it would have been nice to hook under the tower, but they still have lane control coming out. It's not that hard of a lane for Scourge McDuck up against these double melees. He can use his illusions fairly well early on. So far, though, you're not really getting shut out either on Kara, so the Shaker and the Underlord are allowed to soak up and get some farm up top.
Yambura dropping low, but Sadman. Oh, he leaped in trying to secure the kill, but does not get away with it. Yambura will just TP back to the fountain. He'll get a free reset. He's got the teleport available. And Argus takes himself a free kill.
Yeah, and then this Gyrocopter is getting a little bit too much out. It's going to be able to scale up quite fast. And that is a concerning sign. Again, we're seeing the power of the NP.
Oh, nice hook. Thana trapped. Body blocked by BGOT. He's dead. I was going to say, I felt like BGOT, he was sitting in the tree line a bit too much, It gave me PTSD of my pos 4 Pudge shot. Just sitting in the tree line soaking XP, but he does get the hook in the end. He's able to punish Thana.
It works out. You have level 3 up, Rot level 2, lots of output now to even just look for a rundown, and you've got the value point in the end snare for Scourge McDuck. So it should be easier to land at Disable and start to really just hammer in this aggression that can come out down bot. There's not too much punishment from the Underlord and Shaker that can kind of stop that. It's been really aggressive in the side lanes. We haven't been able to take a look down mid. Aeon up against RRL on the Pango versus Lush. This is a matchup we've seen multiple times before. Aeon is working it quite nicely, slightly ahead in CS. Does have decent enough rune control as well, with Sadman taking one water rune away from RRL. And we've talked about this from yesterday, but...
Bot lane, Thana in big trouble. A lot of blocks coming out from Scourge. Thana trying to chase B-God, does hit the blood grenade. Oh boy, the Pudge slowly ticking out to the DPS damage. He dies in the last tick. Meanwhile, Scourge is trying to chase down Thana, but can't secure the kill. Yambura's teleported over. And with that, Scourge will oh, nice block. The Fisher is there, Scourge. Trapped between a rock and a hard place, trying to go through the twin gates. I didn't even realize you can go through from the low ground. But apparently you can.
Yeah, you can. You just have to ensure you're in a pretty correct position, not blocked by a tree. But you can do that on both sides.
Top lane, Sadman. It's a lot of damage he's taking. He'll be okay in the end. It's scaring me a little bit on this Mirana.
He has died twice. It's been a bit of a rough game for Sadman. The lane not working out as you'd expect. I was expecting maybe some more silly plays with the Hawk.
Nice hook mid lane. RRL gets caught with that one. B-God. Really starting to pop off now, though he might die for this, but no, he gets away with it. You know, even if he died, like as long as the kill is there for Aeon, he would have been more than happy with that trade, but B-God doing very well as Ade top lane. Looks like he will be set to fall. A very nice sprout from Yambura will secure the kill, and Sadman, I mean, he tries to rotate to help out, but there's not really much he could have done. He'll just stand there and soak some XP for himself as bot lane. Thana again being caught out. I'll tell you what, B-God, he's having a very good game so far, John. That was another hook landed by the Pudge. A lot of flesh heap stacks already coming in. I think he might have 4 now. No, it should be 3.
Yeah, it should be 3. B-God, again, after a little bit of a slower start in level 1 to 2, has managed to pop off. Double damage.
We're up. In mid lane, he could try to hope to go onto the high ground, but very nice rolling thunders here from Aeon. Of course, Sadman will allow Aeon to just take the kill on the Pangalee. It'll be his second as RRL. Very nice juke on the hook. But this mid lane, it is being focused quite heavily here by the cut. They are not giving RRL a game.
No. Even just a 1v1 for Aeon has worked in his favor, managing to work this Lush matchup quite nicely on the Pango. And they are starting to build up. 4-4, less than 1k lead still standing for the Ravens, but they are popping off on Aeon quite nicely. Scourge McDuck not too far off the mark here on the Naga, but certainly a little bit of a slower start. We'll have to catch up a little bit in that jungle. The only hurting point right now for the cut really is that top lane. Ade and Sadman has not been able to do too much.
Scourge is in trouble, but no, he gets the illusions off, so he actually gets past the Fisher, as now Kara's taking too much damage. Just being chased by the Pudge. B-God should find this. Meanwhile, Scourge still trying to run, does get the ensnare off onto the Shaker. So he'll be okay. B-God is going to find the kill as Thana is still having a look around for the Naga, but will miss out. Very unfortunate set of events here for Ravens. Oh, even the Prophet going down at the top lane.
Yeah, Yambura was trying for the Wisdom Rune steal. Doesn't manage to get that done. Sadman still managed to secure and does sacrifice himself for it. The cut were ready, and that is one thing that you tend to do on the NP support. So they wait around that 7-minute timing, get the ambush off, and they start to get some punishment. Starting to pull a little bit more ahead for the cut in terms of the kills. And this is where the supports can really start to shine. The rotation potential with Amaran, with a Pudge. It is fairly hard to stop, although Sadman Smoke does pop mid. He hasn't had the best of times, but at least he has his turn. If they can somehow connect here.
Sadman, he'll think about throwing an arrow. Not quite yet. Still thinking. Does throw it eventually, but does not land it. They even missed the Rolling Thunder initially. RRL, though, still getting hit eventually by Aeon, but he is looking still alive as RRL. He'll run. He makes it out. And now Aeon, trapped between a rock and a hard place. How does he get himself out of this? He'll swash out, and that's going to be enough. They don't actually have the lockdown to hold the Pangolier just down for a little bit as an arrow now going to land on Yambura. Yambura still being chased. Aeon, he'll find one. And he might have another, but RRL gonna come back in, secure the kill on the Pango. They do eventually get him. So I suppose he gets greedy in the end.
Just a little bit too much to try to run down. Still, with all that space created mid, they managed to find that kill up top as well on Argus. So you lose your core gyrocopter all if that action breaks out. That is a hero that they haven't really been able to stop. Again, that top lane's been the slower lane for the cut. And with a little bit of room, with a little bit of attention drag to mid, they do manage to get something done. So they're impacting just a bit on Argus's farm. He is still working onto the Chrysalis, and the timing for that isn't too bad. Already has the Power Threads Falcon Blade up. They are also getting some rune down bot though.
Yeah, Aeon, very nice rotation. Fisher, though, gonna block his Rolling Thunder, so Kara still has a chance. In fact, he's still juking, but eventually will go down. Yambura rotated to try and go after Scourge, but can't really lock him down very long. The Sprout's still easily countered by the Quelling Blade, so Scourge does not really care. And now Yambura, he might just be food. They land the arrow with the ensnare setup, and Yambura is gone. Scourge will take the kill on the Naga. These bottom rotations certainly not panning out the way they would have hoped.
No,
Even mid lane. RRL, he does not get the haste rune. It was taken by Sadman. Sadman should be fine to make his way out of this. At least RRL does not go down. That's a positive. Though I say that, B-God, he's got vision. RRL. He had vision on the high ground. He was fine. They'll get the D ward off eventually. Sadman knows immediately they have the ward on the high. So the chase is on. Sadman will not die. He's okay.
Does manage to get away with a sliver of HP. I have to admit, the vision game coming out from both sides is pretty strong. A lot of emphasis mid here for the cut, with some bounty rune vision coming out from Ravens, just to try to get that aggression going down bot. Still the aggressive vision certainly on the side of the cut, with 4 wards on the map. Starting to collapse onto that mid lane. I have to say, I've been impressed with Aeon's performance. Doesn't even have the diffusal, but it's doing work.
Oh, nice hook. B-God once again landing it. RRL gonna go down this time, it seems, as he will not be able to survive. And I'm quite shocked nobody's de-warded. That ward behind the tier 1 in the mid lane, it's still sitting there. And it feels after that hook earlier from the triangle, it feels pretty obvious as a ward there. But no one spotted it out yet from Ravens.
No. And they've used 2 sentries in their own triangle area. Maybe just out of stock as they make a move onto Scourge. At least find that Naga.
Well, they do get the Naga Siren. That's a massive kill for the side of Ravens. That's one positive. Like, if you can keep the Naga down, you're not going to be too concerned later on in the game, I suppose, as your Gyrocopter's still having a very good time farming. A much better time than, say, the Naga Siren at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, they've managed to really give a lot of space out to Argus. And just ensure that the Gyrocopter will be winning out here. I mean, you don't have anything like the Maelstrom, you're just going for the straightforward Ags. It's still a decent way to clear out these Naga illusions. I think for the Caught, there's a lot of pressure on Eon to keep up this performance. He's got the full diffusal now.
Yambura might just be dropping. Do they die at the tier 2? Nice Fisher. Will block from Thana, and now RRL does come in for a lot of damage, but the Dismemberment to the arrow does connect. Still, they will find Ade, but it may cost them the Leshrac. At least they'll get a 2-for-1. The B-God Pudge does go down to boot. So it's not the worst trade for RRL, who does secure the double.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward for the Cut. Like, they're starting to force this movement out onto mid. There was a good double sentry drop there from Ravens. I mean, maybe a little bit too much with 2, but that does also clear out the ward. And Ade's Aeon's not able to do as much as he'd want with the diffusal reveal. Like, you were aiming for a little bit more coming out. Ravens in this kind of game state, and they have managed to slow the game down in terms of at least, you know, buying space for Argus, starting to get some room for that blink to eventually come out for Tana. Only, what, 500 gold away from finding that. They are also clearing out these massive ancient stacks that have not been scattered out by the Cut. Like, despite all this aggression, they've just not been able to dip into the jungle too far. They're smoking up top, but again, the triangle's the place where Argus is currently just clearing out anyway.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job of it as well. No vision around this area now for the Cut to try and take advantage of. So Argus does get away with all this farm for free. They're still having a look around the northern side of the map, but they are finding absolutely nobody. I say that RRL is going to show up top lane now to maybe defend the tier 2 tower, but he may get caught in the middle of all this. As RRL, he's going to get hooked perfectly from B-God. Beautiful hook. He saw the courier and goes for a blind and still ends up landing it. In fact, I say blind. Was he under vision? No, I don't think he was. That ward doesn't reach.
No, way too far out. And they've managed to do a great job suppressing this Lush in comparison. Like, you are trading Gyrocopter space for Lush rack form. To be fair, RL is still not too far behind. He's got decent farm on him, matching at least the farm of Scourge McDuck to an extent. But they are starting to lose map space. Like, mid's taken out, top's cleared out, so the top jungle area can be invaded quite nicely. And they have managed to just give Argus all the space down bot in the triangle. So again, this Gyrocopter investment is starting to line up. The Ag's not too far off. You do have the full blink up for Tana now as well. And he does have the Echo Slam ready to go. So a big team fight could break out. We haven't seen the full potential of the global presence of Ravens. You know, like something like the Fiend's Gate plus a teleportation from NP just to force a fight anywhere on the map. That hasn't popped out. But once you are rearing to go, maybe one more item up on RRL, you should be set. In fact, I feel like the Bloodstone alone should be enough. It's just been maybe a little bit slower than you'd like for RRL, and he does respect Aeon with the defusal. Like, without mana, the Lush is just kind of a sitting duck if forced to make a movement out.
Well, it's still a very close game. And the cut in the lead in terms of win probability right now is 59%, but again, their carry is struggling as mid lane. B-God going to get caught. Sadman will jump in to try and help out, but gets caught now by Yambura. They have lost B-God, so they will not bother trying to keep the fight going as B-God is already gone. And you know what? I was saying that Scourge McDuck was struggling just a second ago, but he's caught up in net worth quite quickly. It's only about 600 gold behind now, the Gyrocopter, so this is that point where perhaps Scourge just starts to really overtake the map.
Yeah, it is a Naga. The illusion clear still works quite wonders on the jungle, and there's a lot of farm concentrated in these jungles now. I mean, the Gyrocopter can clear just as fast, but he can't be on multiple parts of the map in comparison. Song out, but
he's barely out of range. It's a bit upsetting. Close, but no real cigar, so Argus is going to be okay, but Sadman will cut him off. With the Moonlight Shadow, he is now under vision. Argus will reveal that. Sadman unable to land a stun. In comes Yambura, and it seems like Sadman will just drop. He is just dead.
Just a little bit unfortunate to chase that deep. The rest of his team was just a little bit too far behind. Nice skill to find a rotation up top.
Absolutely, who have they got? It's going to be Ade. The Beastmaster cannot survive throughout all this. Kara will be able to secure a third kill for himself on the Underlord. His bottom lane, the Gyrocopter. Argus, oh, perfect hook. B-God, landing again. And to be fair, Argus probably should have known to leave that area earlier. Yeah, 3 heroes from the Dire show up top. You know, killing off Ade. He probably should have been well aware that he may get ganked like that.
And that's a very worthwhile trade. Beastmaster for the Gyro, much higher priority on that Gyrocopter. You have activity coming out as well there for Scourge McDuck to soak up. So he gets to accelerate into this Orchid timing quite a fair bit. And again, a lot of back and forth, 14 to 12, less than 1k lead coming out from the cut. Not a massive lead by any means. You are still keeping up to an extent here on Ravens. And there's this scaling that you can't really count out on the Lesh and on the Gyrocopter, but these kinds of trades for the COT just makes it feel a lot easier for them to start to take control. Right? Like, map control is still in their favor for the most part. They still have their mid standing, so their jungle control is still reaching out a little bit further. And B-God's just a menace.
Arrow?
B-God has been doing so much work.
Oh, Argus barely avoiding the arrow. I probably should say where the arrow was. It's confusing our poor observer trying to find it. There you go. It missed anyway, don't you worry.
Yeah.
Just blind arrows, blind hooks flying out from the cut, just trying to maybe get a bit of information for their team.
Yeah, you're not really in a bad position. You could maybe go for a smoke play right now on the cut and just keep that pressure up. You're just kind of stuck on their side of the river right now. Same goes for Ravens, but again, you're kind of happy for Ravens to have this space for Argus to clear out stacks. Full Ags up and running on Argus, so he's that added bonus with a flak, with a side gunner, with a little bit more damage coming out in the flak as well. And again, like, you are mildly concerned about your Naga up against Gyro Lesh matchup. Ravens, they're the ones to smoke out. Cantana still has Blink Slam ready.
Yeah, top lane. They might run into B-God first, though. They wanted to RD, but B-God, oh, he breaks the smoke. Nice blink away as well, B-God. I'll tell you what, this support Pudge, he's been having some pretty high impact. Very impressive stuff from B-God.
Yeah, he's been delivering the goods. You know, he's been landing those hooks. Maybe the first few levels weren't that hot. Afterwards, just been on point. Widow's rotations on mid in particular, just setting up for the team. On the side of Ravens, and this is going to be their concern going forward. Like, their wave initiating is either just Blink Slam on Tana or just running up and trying to hope for the best. Maybe a teleportation in from Yanbur if they're under vision. They get the scan under Roshan. They should be able to find that area, and this is a rather interesting fight to force out. You don't have your Naga around for the song, so something like the Slam or Lesh could be big, but they don't force the issue. They just back off.
Yeah, free Roshan's not going to feel too great for Ravens, but they do just allow the cut to have it. And Ravens, again, to be fair with their draft, they are playing a much slower game. It is much more about just securing farm and getting to that late stage of the game where the Gyrocopter, Lesh, and Underlord should all be pretty big issues, but you are still...
I don't think it's that slow. It's not supposed to be that slow. You hit your key timing already in your Gyrocopter with Ags, Crystallis, even just Yasha. You've had your Bloodstone for a while in RRL. Like, yeah, it takes a little bit more to ramp up into that mid game, but you're not supposed to just sit back and farm this long. This is giving the Naga quite a fair bit to work with. This is giving a lot out to Aeon for his own farm into his Ags. Again, they got the scan off on Roche. Maybe because they didn't see where Scourge McDuck was. They were worried about the song play in the Roche pit, but they didn't need to have to worry. They miss out on an opportunity to kind of really work their team fight, because that's a tight AoE that they also enjoy. With the Slam, with a call down, with the Lesh AoE damage, I feel like that kind of fight would have worked in their favor. Just a lack of information on the map to allow them that opening. And at the cut, they're not going to be asking any questions. They're the ones who just need to sit back and wait a little bit more for Aeon to have his full Ags. Same thing going for Ade here, working onto his own Ags. And they're just more than happy to build into those spikes. Whereas for Ravens, again, it's not too far behind. But once a couple of these Ags are up, it starts to get a little bit concerning. Especially, say, this Beastmaster Ags in the clump up. Like, you're probably not going to be able to kill Ade clumping up that hard now.
Not going to be that easy, that's for sure. Sad man top lane. Going to be homing missile by Argus, but this could be a bit of a bait. Argus is by himself. Sad man. Turns out it was not a bait. But he did have help around him. They could have actually gone for that gyro had they known he was alone, but they had no vision around the area, to be fair. So we are going to have a disconnection here from Thana. So hopefully he reconnects and there's not too many issues going on for the Shaker. But current state of the game, it's a 2k advantage. Still about 59% win probability for the cut. So nothing's really changed for quite a while. And as it stands, it feels like for the past 5 minutes, both teams have just been farming. Like, really just no action happening at all.
Yeah, they've just kind of sat back, and I think that's fine for the cut. It's rather strange for Ravens. Again, like, we've had no real impact coming out from RRL recently. Felt like his initial Bloodstone reveal just hasn't done much for him. He has the full Kaya Sanj now. So you really start to expect something to come out. Like, you've got Kaya Sanj, you've got, again, Ags on Gyrocopter, you've got Blink Shaker.
Ayo just blinked in with very low HP, but doesn't get punished for it. He'll get away, just walks out. That was interesting. When you had a blink on the Shaker, I think he could have made a jump in.
Yeah, but there's no real backup. Maybe you just hope Yanbur can teleport in, but there are 2 lives up on Aeon. I think he's just looking for an opportunity. Maybe he forces some spells out. He's more than happy to just cop it, and then they can smoke up, take that fight in their own terms, drag along Scourge McDuck for that play. Speaking of Scourge McDuck, he's almost got the full heart up. And that's where things can start to get pretty dicey. Like, the durability of this Naga just skyrockets. You don't really have the auras to protect the illusions, so the magical damage still...
Nice hook.
Ooh.
They found Argus. B-God once again, but do they actually have the damage for Argus? Argus is still trying to run out of here. The song's going to come out locking everyone down. But where's the follow-up to it? It's such a mess. Ade, he's been left behind, but Argus is still being focused. He might finally drop, and he does. They have got the gyrocopter, but they've lost 3 in the process of doing so. Here comes Aeon once again with the Aegis, surviving another day, but not for long it seems, as he'll try to swashbuckle out, and will make it. Can they keep the fight going? It doesn't seem like it. The cut are going to back off. Ade has been somewhat left behind. He'll turn back onto Thana. In fact, Thana does end up going down while TPing. Kara now being chased as well. Kara, he's got the backup of RRL, but in comes Scourge McDuck from the side on the Naga. So they've taken down Ade. Now Scourge is the one in trouble. Dismember from B-God to get him out though. But here comes Yambura onto Aeon.
Ooh.
Scourge McDuck now going to show up. Yambura the one being hunted. Yambura's gone. What kind of team fight is this? Kara now on the run. Scourge McDuck slithering his way towards the Underlord. Will be able to close the gap and has Ensnare in 1. And should be able to lock this guy down. There's your Orchid. There's your Ensnare. There's your hook out from B-God. And that's going to be another kill to come out, it seems, for the cut. In a very prolonged and a very strange team fight.
Yeah, it ends up as a 3 for 4. If you want to count the Aegis, a 4 for 4, but doesn't really matter here for Aeon. A little bit of a mess to start off. In the end, you kind of trade 3 heroes for the Gyrocopter plus 2 supports and the offlane, which is very worthwhile for the cut. I mean, it was really weird to start off, right? Like, the hook comes in, the Dismember, the backups there from Ravens. The song kind of messes up Aeon's usage of Rolling Thunder, but they managed to regroup anyway. They managed to drain the mana away from the Shaker with a Swash, so we never saw the slam come out from Tana. And that's really one thing that's kind of holding back Ravens. Like, this constant Swatch spam coming out, especially with the Yags, it's really easy for Aeon to burn down the mana pool of the Shaker that he can't slam. Without the slam, you kind of lack a little bit more utility in the AoE control, a little bit more of that damage when these big team fights break out. And they don't have an easy solution to just get mana in here as well. B-God as well, with a Shard, getting that defensive Dismember off. He hooked Kara twice. I think while Yambura was being taken out, he got 1 hook in the Underlord, and that prevented him from running away because he had more space to kind of clear out, which allowed him to find that follow-up kill as well. And B-God's just been a menace. And with a save, with the Blink Dismember, with his Aether Lens coming out, it's going to be even more infuriating for Ravens to play into that save. Like, you have to somehow take care of the Pudge first, but chances are the Pudge is the way that the cut will start most of these fights. If not the song setup or the roar setup, it's going to be Pudge hook.
B-God's been very good on this Pudge as well. I really have been quite impressed, with the impact he's been having on this hero. And yeah, sure, sometimes you've got the setup anyway, but regardless, it just seems like he's in the right place at the right time every time. Argus leave the Dire jungle just in the nick of time because Aeon and Sadman were around the corner. Ravens still looking a little bit lost in terms of their game plan here in this game. Still sitting back, still farming, not showing any signs of grouping up and going for a big fight or a big smoke rotation. Mid lane, RRL going to show himself. We'll go for a bit of a chase onto Sadman, but Sadman, he does have backup around the corner. Thing is, the backup is going north because they're trying to go after Argus and the Gyro. In fact, never mind, they see Thana. They'll go for him first. Thana will drop. Argus is still going north. If he stuck around to farm, I think he may have been hunted down, but he will leave the area.
That overwhelming push is starting to kick in now from the cut, with the summons being ready on Ade and with some of the durability coming out as well, with his full Ags up. A 19 to 15 3k lead coming out for the cut, 4k lead coming out for the cut. And aside of Ravens, you've been talking about the scaling, Mike. It's still there, but it just feels like you missed out on some earlier timing where you could have done a little bit more for your team. You could have done a little bit more to set this game up for yourself. Because now you have to deal with a Naga with full heart, the Blood Torrent eventually coming out. Like, there's a lot of output that you're going to have here on Scourge McDuck. A lot of durability coming out here. And the solutions aren't straightforward from Ravens just because you can't really sustain up front with RRL. We've seen Argus just get controlled down as well with no way of really dispelling off this control. He does have the Manta up now. Nothing hard like the BKB. There's always potential for chain stunning coming out from the cut as well. And with the tier 2 cleared up top, I mean, your jungle's just exposed. They've got the forward vision to back that up, and they'll just go for the smoke play now.
Jeez, they even went for a Maelstrom on the Underlord. But I suppose he is building into a Gleipnir to be fair, so it makes enough sense. Just does very well against those Naga illusions. Here we go. See what the cut can find. This smoke, sad man, he'll get some vision up onto the triangle straight away, and Thane has immediately been spotted, but a nice blink out. He'll be fine.
RRL.
Instead though, RRL. RRL's the one to get caught. He's a much bigger target. That's the one you really wanted. The cut have 50 seconds where they don't have to worry about this Leshrac.
Yeah. It would have been nicer if they managed to take that fight near top for a high ground threat. They'll be able to clear out some tier 1s and some tier 2s here on bot and just set themselves up to start really shutting this map out. Ravens, their map space is getting limited. You know, we had some early aggression coming out. We had some good movements out from Yanbura early on. He does have the full Ags on the NP, but it feels like we just haven't seen any of these global plays with, again, with a Fiendscape. We haven't seen the presence of Flesh really kick in. It's been a rough game for RRL.
Looks like he may be getting caught. Big God is there again. Right place, right time. We'll find another kill for himself in the Pudge. Happy days for him, and Yambura trying his absolute best to find any kind of advantage for his team. Sadly, could not even pick up the Wisdom Rune either, so doesn't really get anything for that death.
Man, the cut have been on point with punishing the NP. They know the timings he's going to be looking for. Every 7 minutes, you have to expect the NP is going to try to steal, and they've punched him twice for making that play now. So just very heads up on the cut, understanding the map quite well. Clearing out the tier 2 now as well down bot. Only the mid left for the outer towers here for Ravens. The one thing Ravens has going for themselves is a pretty strong high ground. You know, you've got Lesh, you've got Gyro, you've got Underlord. It can be pretty oppressive to try to force your way into those ramps, into the high ground. So it is a little bit tough, although...
Mid lane, RRL, he got bashed.
Oh my god.
He got bashed. RRL gonna be saved by the Fisher for now, but the chase is on with the roar out. And
no.
Oh, Thana, no. He blinks right into the Rolling Thunder. No Echo Slam to come out. It's all falling apart. Like, there's just this game. There's been no coordination. Like, we can't tell what the game plan from Ravens is. It just feels like they're farming and waiting for the cut to come to them. It's a real mess here for the Dire. Oh, and another hook. Be God. Another blind hook. And what do you do?
I know what you can do. I mean, it's like you said. They had some openings a while ago here on Ravens with some early timing. They opt to just sit back and farm. Now the high ground's under siege. You don't have your Lesh for the defense. We haven't seen a good slam out from Tana. I don't think we've seen any slam at all from the Shaker. Although,
blink away this time from Tana. But they're really on edge, though. That's the thing. Like, this support part is just haunting them. You know, it's just... They're constantly worried about where this hook angle is coming from, and it's just... Again, it's been a bit too much for Ravens. Like, I'm not sure what the initial plan was with their draft, but they really have not been able to make anything work. Your Gyrocopter's basically at the point where there's not really too much more you can farm. Like, you're going to build something in for the Chrysalis, maybe get rid of the Treads, but and get rid of the Falcon Blade, but you've got a Satanic up now. You know, if there's a point to fight, it probably is around this point. It just seems a bit too late now, though.
Should be. I think you should have fought with Ags Chrysalis, Falcon Blade. At that point, when you just finished the Ags on Argus, you could have made some plays, try for teleportation, try for Fiend's Gate. That was also tied into RL's Bloodstone timing. Just never came out. They might be able to spot Scourge. Bit of a chase.
Song popped. Scourge does not look afraid. Scourge is waiting for B-God to make his way over, trying for a TP, but no, maybe now he's afraid. The TP was cancelled. Scourge, can he make a way out?
Oh,
Hook in from B-God, December out, 4 staff away. They're going to root him up with the Gleipnir, but he allows the Naga out of this. B-God will die, but for the greater good, he will drop. There's another Fisher. It lands on Scourge. The Echo, they lock him down. Maybe they can do it with the Naga, or maybe not.
No.
Maybe Thana just gets destroyed. RRL, he's going to keep trying. The Rolling Thunder just going in circles, but they've lost RRL. They don't even need it. Scourge is still being chased, but I think he's just going to outregen the damage.
Dire's middle barracks are under
They can't catch him. He's actually just out of there. The Great Escape.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
Meanwhile, Yambura, he's going to be okay to TP out.
That was not the way you want that to go for Ravens. I appreciate the effort, but it was a one-man slam onto Scourge McDuck. He didn't have any of his illusions around him. They were very patient with the fissures. You know, managing to force the song out. They lose out in Aegis. You still come out on top for the cut. It was a bot side Roche as well, so they just managed to connect really easily. B-God again with the saves, with a sacrifice for the team. And Ravens, I'm not sure what you do. I think it's down to just, you're probably just playing high ground now. You have the shard up in RRL. You can just hold on your 2 Raxes, look for an opening from there, but I mean, you see what happens when you try to commit onto the Naga with a heart up, with a Scotty up. Like, you just don't have the flash damage if you're not all connected. You know, if you're not working that Lesh and Gyrocopter on top of the Naga, then there's just not enough. Scourge McDuck is free to do what he wants, and I have to say, B-God and Aeon have just been doing so much work. Aeon, he's just completely shut down RRL. He just ensures that they can't spell spam in the middle, that this magical solution for the Naga never kicks in. And again, there's no answer for the Pango. We talked about this in draft, with the bans coming out from Ravens. They banned out Storm first, which was nice, then they banned out Lina. It's like Pangolier was right there. There's no counterplay for this hero with Beastmaster on the cut's end. And you know, like, Pango doesn't necessarily lose a lot of mid-matchups either. There's some circumstances where you can, but a good Pango player can kind of at least draw even in a lot of matchups, and Aeon's done more than that in this game.
Yeah, he absolutely has. The Ravens, I mean, they're not out of the game yet, but they're 17k behind. Only about a 12% chance of pulling off a comeback here in this game 1. The cut, grouping up again in that right triangle. Arrow narrowly avoids Argus, but the Rolling Thunder immediately coming out. But it will not land. Still a hook.
B-God.
B-God again. B-God, he just can't miss. Argus stunned up, locked up, but do they have the damage? Yes, they do. Argus is gone. And this team fight, I don't think it can continue. They might need to get out of here. The cut, they are retreating. In fact, never mind, they're moving back in. They have got the Underlord, they've got Yambura. They've got everything. This game might just be over. Look at this lockdown from Scourge. He's found both of them again. Ariel and Thana. 2 birds with 1 stone. Just call it. The game's over.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one, Mike. It's not been looking good for Ravens this one. They didn't manage to play around with some initial item spikes. They played a farming game up against Naga, who... No, Scourge McDuck had a little bit of a slower lane. Not the worst lane in the world, not the best of times either in comparison to Argus, but with enough space he just takes over, and Ancient's exposed, the buybacks are out, but I know what you can do here.
Yeah, this is called the Anna buyback, if I remember correctly, John. It's you know, it's like, well, what are you actually intending to do? They'll make the jump in. Thana,
no.
he never even gets
The
to press
silence.
R. He just blinks in and dies immediately. So there we go. The gyrocopter also gone. So you're playing to the end as Ravens, to be fair, because they are in the lower bracket here of the qualifiers. So this is their last chance